How you all feel tonight?
Stop. I can't take it anymore.
Oh, I do the live ones too. Yes, I know. I saw your act in the theater. You're really quite good.
Quite a certain harmful habit.
Stop it now, I mean it.
I don't think.
Hello and welcome back. We are breaking up with RBS. This is episode number 71, and I am Tawny Santabria.
And I am still JDK Winnikin.
Good to know.
I wake up every day and I make sure that that's still true.
Are you excited about it?
Yes.
Are you? Oh, good.
Always.
Okay.
Always.
Always.
Which is my choice because, that's how it is. So I could be excited about it or not.
You get to choose.
I get to choose. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Welcome back, Tawny.
Yes.
Welcome back to all of you who are listening and or watching. If you're listening live, good morning. If you're listening as a podcast, thank you so much for subscribing, for leaving us a review. We really appreciate it. If you're watching, feel free to critique our outfits at our YouTube channel, Breaking Up with RBS. Well, feel free to critique mine, I guess. I shouldn't speak for you, sorry. You can check us out there. You can also join our Facebook group of the same name and get get a lot of information in between. And we have some really exciting things coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there is your 6-week self-mastery program as well that people can check out at unperfectyourself.com.
Yes, because who wants to be perfect?
You know what? I've tried.
Well, it's not possible.
It's not possible. And yet I kept trying for a really long time.
Well, we keep trying for
do.
some reason. Well, there's lots of reasons we can get into that if we want to, but
Mm-hmm.
we do keep trying, and then it takes a big toll
Mm-hmm.
on the body and on ourselves.
Yeah, and then by extension, worst case, on everything else around us.
Well, certainly, because we're all connected.
Yep, exactly.
So, yes.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's one of those things.
Yes. So we like to help folks kind of get, release themselves of this perfectionism, people-pleasing kinds of stuff because it doesn't serve us, it doesn't help us, and it is quite limiting, actually.
It is, and it's one of the big, massive stories, right? Perfectionism. That's a big deliverer of BS stories, which is exactly what we're talking about. Because the idea is that if you're not perfect, there's something wrong, or you're not as acceptable, desirable.
Yeah, but does anybody know anybody who's perfect?
Nope.
So then we're all not so good.
Exactly. So I guess that's a straw man standard, I guess. Anyway.
So yeah, okay.
Yeah. So yeah. Wow. Now I'm spinning around on that. Anyway, what's new this week? What's been going on with you?
What's been going on with me this week? Whoa. Let's see. I have been doing a lot more meditation actually this week.
Okay.
I just decided, if I want to do it 3 times a day or 5 times a day, why do I have to limit myself to just once?
Okay. So you've been doing, I know you're a regular
Yeah.
meditator. You do once a day. I do once a day.
Mm-hmm.
But you decided to up it.
I did this week. I just felt like, what? I just really have this sense of wanting to up it, and why not? So I did.
Was it around anything specific, or was that sense in yourself?
Yeah, just the sense. I don't know. Like it just was, I just made, and naturally with ease, kind of made more time for it. Found myself sort of just wanting more moments
Nice.
with it. So I decided instead of talking myself out of it and saying like, you already did today, calm down, right? I just decided to, okay, well, let's do that again.
Well, yeah, if you're hungry,
Yeah.
have some food,
Exactly.
right?
Why
you
not?
You don't say, well, I already ate today. I'm not going to eat again.
We don't usually with
Don't
that, but we
usually.
do with other things.
We do.
Yeah.
We do. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. Well, that makes sense. So how's that working out?
It's working out pretty well, actually. Yeah.
That's
So
good.
we'll see what tomorrow brings.
Mm.
But, just this sense of like moving with more ease in the day and just what the day brings and what the moment sort of maybe makes me think about or draws me to it. Like, okay, why don't I just sort of engage with that?
Yeah. I mean, and then it would seem to me, talking about perfectionism, that that doesn't really enter into the equation when you're in that space, does it?
No, because, right, not saying, like, should I do this or should I not do this?
Oh, the bullshoulds, there they are.
Right, because the shoulds follow us with perfectionism for sure.
Okay.
That's part of an underlying story with perfectionism. Should I do it this way? Should I not do it this way? Will they like it if I do it this way?
Right.
Or whatever else.
Yeah.
We might ask ourselves.
Yeah. You know, what comes to mind for me with that is the perfectionist side that comes up for me is like when I'm battling that, what sometimes can come up is, you know, waiting for some other shoe to drop to show that I'm unperfect or I don't have control over something. You know, that notion of the other shoe dropping, which I don't really know where that comes from. I'm sure there's a story about that, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's a strange metaphor.
And why would you wait for that?
I don't know.
What are you waiting for? The train? What?
That's what I mean.
And so what happens when the shoe drops? Like what happens?
When it actually happens or when I'm afraid of it happening?
Oh, well, either one. What happens?
Nothing good. You're talking about having more ease. It does not do that. It does the opposite.
Yeah.
Less ease, more stress, more anxiety. And I'm not sure everybody reacts the same to that. But for me, what ends up happening is I slow down. I start freezing up. You know, things take longer. I'm more irritable. I'm probably less connected. It takes me longer to get things done. I'm not in a state of flow really at all. I'm not moving freely. And worst case scenario, things begin to then stack up, right? If I slow down and all the other things behind me, almost like the log floating down the river and, you know, gets jammed up and suddenly all the other logs are jamming up behind it, jamming up behind it, jamming up behind it. That's what happens to me.
So a couple things that come to mind. One thing, are you sort of avoiding so that the shoe doesn't drop?
You know, I don't even think it's that, like, that gives it a clarity that that does not occur to me in the moment. You saying, like, you know, hoping it won't. I think on some visceral level, that's at the root of it, right? But actually, I think what's more common, at least for me, is if I'm worrying about it, thinking about it, telling those stories come up of like, what if, the lie is, the BS story is, when it happens, I'll be more prepared to handle how it feels.
How so?
Well, it's a lie. So, so I can't prove it. I can't prove the negative. However, the idea is, okay, because I see it coming somehow, that it will hurt less. And it doesn't. It never does.
Right. Okay. So you're somehow trying to prepare yourself.
Yeah. And actually, I heard it from a lot of different people this past week in different contexts, this concern, this fear about, and this recognition that they have it, like fear of this other shoe dropping. And yet when I ask questions about that, they run into the exact same thing I just ran into when you're asking that question. They can't give a straight answer.
Right. Well, couple things. If we're waiting for the shoe to drop, whether that's a thinking space thing or we feel it in our body, the stress response is keyed up.
Yep.
Right. So we're either in some kind of a fight or flight or some kind of a freeze type, something like that. Even if it's not like at a level 8, 9, 10 out of a 10 scale, we're still elevated in that way, probably because we are having a fear of the shoe dropping. So that would indicate some kind of bodily response of some impending doom.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So that's not necessary. That physiological response, sometimes if we're not paying attention to it, then we don't really have clarity around what's happening right there. That actually can be habitual.
Yes.
Your body's used to being keyed up in this way because you've been conditioned to think or believe and live with this idea that you don't deserve it to be too good. So if it is going well right now, then guess what? You're in for it.
Yep. The timer's a ticking.
Right. Right. Like it's coming. Right. So that's the other part of this. And certainly life ebbs and flows.
Yes.
So to some degree, if things are just, flowing so well right now, everything is just working out quite well. There's no traffic on the road every time I
Every time I go.
every time I get out there.
The rain clouds avoid me.
Yes. at one point you're going to get out there and there's going to be a traffic accident,
Mhm.
probably that you're going to get stuck behind. And then
Mhm.
you can decide what you want to think about that,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
So yes, it's going to ebb and flow. That doesn't have to be the other shoe dropping.
That's what I keep coming back to,
Mm-hmm.
because it's a framework. Because if something happens and you're not calling it the other shoe dropping, it's just something that happened.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And if it's something that happened that isn't great, I can decide to whatever degree I want that not greatness to affect everything else.
Mm-hmm.
I get to decide that.
And all the time that we're preparing for that to happen,
Yeah.
we're missing out on right here, right now. So
Mhm.
it's sort of a thing, that shoe dropping at some point, whatever that is,
Yeah.
either we're comparing it to, oh, yeah, the shoe dropped in the past. So, of course, it's going to drop again.
Yeah.
And so we're either in the past or the future
Mhm.
in the thinking space when we're entertaining this shoe thing.
Yeah, and for me too, I think it shows. I'm not sure if it's a lack of trust in myself or a lack of belief or a lack of knowledge of my own resilience. Because if I'm in a space, not in the mind space, where I know that I'm resilient, I can handle what's going to come if something's difficult, I don't worry about it so much. I don't. The only example I can think of is, I work with a personal trainer once a week. I don't worry about certain exercises now like I did back then when I was like, oh, I don't think I'm strong enough to do that. My body doesn't bend that way. I'm not sure I can do those things. I've done it enough where I don't bring those things to the table too much anymore. And I've developed a level of trust with my trainer that I can easily tell him, okay, that's a little too much, or that's not enough, or that's what I've got today. It feels like that, that I don't trust my own ability to handle what may come when the quote unquote shoe drops or when the bad thing happens. And I wonder about that, if it's a lack of trust or lack of confidence or just a lack of connection with our own resiliency that keeps us in that state of worry all the time.
Is it? I don't know. Is it a lack of trust, or is it just I don't want to be uncomfortable? Or both.
Could very well be. Yeah, we don't
Right.
like discomfort. Yeah.
So that's the other part too.
Yeah, I think that's more accurate. That resonates more with me. The idea that it's discomfort means something is wrong. Because everything's supposed to be comfortable, right? That's the messaging we get. That's how you know things are okay. Comfortable.
Typically.
Yeah.
Right. Typically, if I'm comfortable, then things are feeling a little bit more familiar or easeful. But that's not true either, because we can get comfortable, in quotes, with stuff we don't like,
Yes.
with limitations,
Yeah.
with fear, with chronic anxiety, with not enough sleep, with a high sugar diet, right? We can get comfortable with those because then they become very familiar. But that's not actual ease.
Yes.
That's
a good point.
right. And so that's the other part, is like, we don't even know really, truly what comfortable can actually feel like. Right?
Yeah, we can mistake it for a lack of something or absence of something.
Yeah, well, just whatever's familiar to us
Right.
becomes what's comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
So if whatever's familiar to us is comfortable, and then we're afraid of a shoe dropping that actually might offer us something that's just unfamiliar,
Right.
something that maybe gets us outside of our comfort zone, right? So that's the other part, that we're trying to stay in this conditioned comfort zone, which might, it's for some of us at some times, might be actually, kind of revving up some of this stress and anxiety that we've got going on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's that familiar piece, I think, is really accurate, because that's what we know. Know this part. That's probably why a lot of us stay in that space of being willing to endure the idea of a shoe dropping, because we're used to that. That's what we know.
Sure. It's whatever is familiar, whatever we repeat over and over is going to be what our life is.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And so if if we're not willing to be in a state of discomfort,
Mm-hmm.
then, and discomfort is just something that's unfamiliar
Yeah.
to what is comfortable,
Mm-hmm.
then a lot of things that may not be big problems would be experienced as the other shoe dropping.
Yeah.
That actually could be more related to, I mean, yeah, I don't want to grow.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I don't want to experience any discomfort,
Mm-hmm.
but the only way we grow is through discomfort.
That's true.
So
That's true.
maybe we could welcome the other shoe dropping.
Yeah. Come on,
Whoa.
shoe. Drop.
Yeah, I'm ready for you.
Ready. In fact, not only do you need to drop, I'm going to throw you up in the air
Yeah.
so you come crashing down to earth with an even bigger thud.
Sure. And then can we pick the type of shoe we're looking for? Yeah.
Yeah. And
Uh-huh.
can we chuck other shoes at other shoes?
Who knows? I mean, like we could really,
What about the shoe we already have? Because it's the
Right.
other shoe dropping.
right. And maybe that shoe wants the other shoe to drop.
Yeah, we could drop both.
Yeah,
And we just go barefoot and we're dropping shoes everywhere.
totally. like there's so many possibilities here if we want to see those.
There are. And I do think that's one of the core things I keep coming back to quite a bit is if I have a barometer in a given day, it's how am I doing with the discomfort of the day? Not am I like sailing through it without a thought, but am I aware of it? Am I letting it exist?
Mm-hmm.
To what degree am I feeding it or adding stories to it? And it's something I know we've talked about before, to be aware of those things doesn't mean that they're dominating you, right? There's not, if you admit that you have fear of the other shoe dropping and that it doesn't really mean anything, even just being aware of that without feeding more of it
Mm-hmm.
is a good thing
Yeah.
on some level. But
yeah.
I can't think of any time where I've been super comfortable with something and then had some mind-blowing piece of growth come out of it. It's been usually I'm just relaxing, right? It's
Pretty-
difficult.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we know theoretically, we know that you don't grow unless you're outside your comfort zone. Like we hear this all there's memes, we see it,
Yeah.
we see all the charts, the circles and then the outside, and we know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what does that actually mean inside of our body?
Mm-hmm.
What does that actually feel like
Yeah.
inside of our body?
Yeah.
And if we really were accepting and welcoming of this, oh yes, I want to grow, and I know it's going to be uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
then who cares if the other shoe drops?
Right. It doesn't matter.
Right.
I think the shoe tends to disappear. They either stay on your feet or you're not worried about it or you're barefoot all the time. I don't know. I'm really trying to make this metaphor work visually, and I think I might be muddying the waters a little bit. Nevertheless.
But going back to the folks that you've talked to in the past week,
Yeah.
of there being this theme of the other shoe dropping,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That just entertaining that in that way takes us out of present moment.
It does.
It takes us out of enjoying like what is going on right now,
Mhm.
or just being in reality with right now. It may
Yeah.
not be that we're enjoying it. It may actually be that, well, it may be uncomfortable or
Mhm.
whatever it is,
Mhm.
right? Is what's here right now when
Mhm.
we take ourselves into another moment to prepare for the other moment that we're not even in.
Yeah.
Then that becomes,
Yeah.
we're future thinking, or,
And the other moment that may not ever happen.
well, sure. Yeah.
And if it does happen, it's not going to happen the way you think.
Well, it doesn't even matter what you think.
Right.
That's the whole thing. Like just thinking about another future moment takes us out of present moment. So we don't even need, if we want to be present here dealing with reality, then we don't even want to think about the other moment, whether we're right, wrong, or otherwise. It doesn't even actually matter because we're not there,
Yeah.
right? We're actually right here.
Mhm.
And so being here right now is actually going to allow us more ease and flow, but we've got to practice doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's not easy because we've been conditioned to either be stuck in the past
Mm-hmm.
or future thinking.
Yeah. Fearful of it, planning of it, focused on it, what ifing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We put the present third, oftentimes,
Oh,
among
yeah.
those three.
Yeah, if I've got time today, I'll try to get present. What? Wait a second.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's so many examples. And I think, the one I keep thinking about is the gym. My trainer, when I first started with him almost 2 years ago, took me through the series of like 4 exercises. I just want to see how many of these you can do, if any. And there were 4 of them. And I had trouble with all 4, right? He said, that's not why we're doing this, but I want you to see over time, we're only going to do these about every 6 months or so. Long story short, last week we came back and did them. And every single one of them for the first time, not only was I able to do, but it was even better than I thought I might be able to do in the moment. Mm-hmm. And the next day I was more sore than I've been coming out of the gym in a long time. I was uncomfortable, but it was fabulous to recognize, oh my gosh, I built up more of that resiliency over time because I kept going in.
Yeah, practice.
Kept practicing. And that's, talk about an exercise and being uncomfortable. Work with a personal trainer. Mm-hmm. That's what they live off of. Mm-hmm. Right? Oh, you're uncomfortable. Oh, good. That means something happened. Are you feeling that in your shoulders? Yes. Oh, good. Your shoulders are getting stronger.
Right. The body can't change without discomfort.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if it's true that way, it's true everywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Man,
absolutely.
it's, and I have a lot of empathy for those people who, talk about the other shoe dropping. I've done that. I mean, it's easy to do.
Well, we've been taught it somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. We don't even know where it came from, and we know we've heard it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So where did we even first hear it?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those things, that would be a BS story, right? That we've heard over and over again. Mm-hmm. Beware. Mm-hmm. Beware of this thing that's going to go wrong. Like, what?
Be alert.
We know things are going to go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
That's what life is.
Mm-hmm.
And things are going to go things are going to go in our favor and not in our favor.
Right.
That's life.
Mm-hmm.
Right. We don't need to be reminded that, oh no, only things go wrong when things are going well.
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yeah. That's a really good point.
Like, what?
Because that is the message, right? Yeah. Oh, things are going really right. That means wrong is around
beware.
the corner.
Don't stay in that things are going well state. Don't you dare. Like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Life is a mixed bag.
It is.
And it's okay for us to enjoy when things are in our favor. Mm-hmm. I mean, why not? Just enjoy it.
Yeah, because otherwise you don't even enjoy it when it's there because you're focusing on when you're going to lose it.
Right. It's not going to go in your favor later. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And you're going to be able to handle that. Mm-hmm. But if you are chronically worried about things not going in your favor, even when things are going in your favor, and you could truly enjoy this moment, but nope, you've learned that you've got to worry about every single moment from here on out, right? Then when it doesn't go in your favor, you're already going to have a load of worry that now you've got to add to that in this moment. Like, what?
Yep. So when
that seems like a lot.
When the other shoe does drop, you're already carrying 1,000 pounds of worry.
It seems like we've overdone some things here.
We have, and it's and those stories that we tell ourselves keep us in that chronic state of unease, dis-ease, anxiety, call it whatever you want. And I think that to me is such the important part of what we're talking about here is short circuit that by getting into the body and recognizing the story for what it is. Mm-hmm. And to me, it's key not to beat yourself up when you see it, but also to not just recognize it and don't feed it, and then enjoy the moment.
We've got to give we've got there's that practice being in the moment. How do we be in the moment, right? Getting into the body, we talk about this a lot, but there's a practice around this. Mm-hmm. How much time do we have left?
About 2.5, 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. So can't get really far into that right now, but that is something that, as long as we're practicing over time and repeating a new sort of way of thinking, a new sort of way of experiencing this moment, a new sort of sensation in the body, we are repeating, because the brain learns through repetition, we're going to be able to then, at some point, sort of feel like, oh, okay, now I've established this new habit of being in the present moment more often,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that is going to help with those stories also.
Yep.
That's going to help with the sense of doom about this other shoe that we're talking about.
The
Right?
doom shoe.
The doom shoe.
There's the title.
There it is. We knew we'd get there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's true. And you know, and I've said many times, when you first experience that difference, getting into the body, recognizing the flow response that is built into us, not only do you recognize it's something fundamentally different than what we've been conditioned to do, but then you automatically want it more, and your body files it away and goes, "Oh, you're one example more aware of this now.
Mm-hmm.
So let me integrate this into what you already know, and we can steadily bring you back to that more and more. And the more you do it, the more the brain goes, okay, yeah, you're wanting to do this more often. Let's just go there."
Sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Yeah. The shoe of doom.
The shoe of doom. Well, with that in mind, really quickly, here at the end of this episode of Breaking Up with RBS, do you want to tell everybody what's happening on February 11th in a couple weeks?
Well, sure. We could do this now. February 11th at 9 a.m., we are going to do a free workshop on Zoom because that's the place we can all get together really quickly.
Mhm.
And for about an hour, 9 a.m. Pacific time. And we're going to do these practices
Yeah.
and learn a little bit more about the stress response. And there will be a Q&A also.
Absolutely. So you can bring all the questions that you have. You can experience this for yourself, and it's free,
It is
which is
free.
fabulous. So if you would like to register for that, go over to our Facebook page, our Facebook group, Breaking Up with RBS, and you will find a link there. There will also be various other places. It'll be up on the YouTube channel as well, so you can sign up there. And who knows? Maybe we'll do it more than once.
Yeah, who knows?
Absolutely.
We can only worry about this one right now.
Right. Exactly. We're not going to worry about the doom shoe
No.
for these.
No.
Okay.
No shoe dropping.
All right. So everybody out there, watch out for your own doom shoes. Just be aware that they're made up. Anyway, we will be back next week with another episode, if the other doom shoe doesn't drop, of Breaking Up with RBS. Until then, I'm JDK Winnikin.
And I'm Tawny Santabria.
We'll see you next time.
Break a friend.